Africa, or Emma Garcia, was a beautiful light that was tragically dimmed by someone who felt that no one would care about who she was. Emma is at least the 10th transgender person or gender expansive person that has been killed in Puerto Rico ever since the HRC has been tracking since 2013. However, Africa is the first transgender woman to be a victim of violence in 2024 in Puerto Rico. She is also the 11th transgender person, or from what we know of, to be killed in the US in 2024. Guns play too far a significant role in the epidemic of violence against the transgender community. As of today, a transgender person's death has been recorded every 9.6 days. Again, who is protecting our transgender brothers and sisters? Hey y'all, hey, I am Judy and we are back with another SW and true crime video. I decided to cover cases in the queer community in SWers because a lot of times a lot of queer cases are ignored, or they're usually just not really reported. A lot of times dead names are used, and this causes a lot of confusion and a lot of times, misreporting. And even then, it also leads to even more the lack of evidence. In today's case, it is very much open and it has very little information. This case also took place in Puerto Rico. So there is a little language barrier. Y'all, I took college Spanish. If you watch my previous video of how I was talking about like the different Spanish words, I took collegiate Spanish, and she didn't do me justice. I'm not gonna lie. We're not too much on her. We're not gonna get in that. But yes, the language barrier does play a part, as well as how Puerto Rico views LGBTQ community. Just, the lack of information, and also just you can feel just their stance on how they feel about the LGBTQ community. So please, please, please bear with me. I want to give my condolences to the family and friends. This is public information that I'm stating. I will link the links that I'm using below so you can join the conversation. Again, this is a very open case. If you have information, I'll put that as well so you can help solve this case. Again, no action should be taken in my report. It is just for educational purposes. And again, it is extremely dangerous for everyone, not just S workers, not just queer folks, for everybody. Let's get into our next case. Okay, y'all, so this case is very much heavy opinionated, but also with some facts. So please bear with me. Go ahead and get you a snack, get you a drink, some hot tea. You're gonna need it because this is a lot. We're dealing with a lot. Okay, y'all, so we are in San Juan, Puerto Rico, and I believe that Emma's, or Africa's, family didn't really agree with her lifestyle, so they did not provide any information about her upbringing or about, her life growing up. Her friends, however, gave an amazing account about her life. Africa Parrilla Garcia was born in 1999 in, I believe, San Juan, Puerto Rico. Again, this is what I could find. This is just like from what bits and pieces. And I assume this is being, she was found at about 25. So we can concur that she was born in 1999. And also very random, my mom was actually stuck in Hurricane Hugo, I believe, in Puerto Rico with my brother in the 90s. It's kind of crazy, but yeah, anyway. Africa proudly identified as Afro-Latina, and she also went by Emma. So you may hear me use the two names interchangeably. Again, I'm assuming that Africa's family was not supportive of her lifestyle, being that they, again, provided no information at all. And they also gave the police her dead name. In this case, Africa was initially misgendered. And the police also gave news reports and outlets her dead name, which honestly caused more confusion and honestly put a huge halt on just finding information about the case. So if you don't know what dead name and misgendered, dead name is basically they provided the news outlets with her name that they gave her at birth, and they also, put in the news outlets her gender that was assigned at birth, which is quite puzzling to me because we are in 2024 and we're not, hey mama, welcome to the 60s. It's a whole new day, a whole new world. Be for real. You can look and you can see, like, let's not be dumb. I feel like a lot of people like to play dumb because they don't like to agree with people's lifestyle and choices, but let's respect. And even then, my girl had that on. You feel me? Like, they knew who she was. They were trying to be funny. And according to HRC research, about 2/3 of victims were misgendered and or dead named by police and or news outlets. That's 66%. And let's not even talk about the victims that are not known. You get what I mean? Because some people are just, out there by their misgender and their dead name. There's some people that's still out there like that. And again, I might be a little bit too ahead of myself because we have to give y'all the story, but we have to give the background of my girl first. The testimonies of her friends in San Juan are honestly all we have. They truly loved her. She was just so tremendously loved, and I just can't stress that enough. And just like another trans woman that was murdered in Puerto Rico in 2020, Alexa Negron Luciano, Emma was homeless, impoverished, and a Black woman just living on the street. She was also doing survival S work, which makes me think, and actually I researched how the LGBTQ community is treated in Puerto Rico. I found that like a lot of the world, LGBTQIA communities are just finding a hard time to find a safe space in Puerto Rico. Queer advocates regularly try to navigate their issues when it comes to distance of trying to get, people to the center of where they can have a safe space. They have trouble with the funding. They have trouble with trying to get correct education sources and federal prioritization to provide safety and funding for LGBTQIA citizens in Puerto Rico. Safe spaces are vital for mental health. They can be, but aren't always, physical spaces. And they honestly can be harder to find for marginalized people. More concretely defined, a safe space allows LGBTQIA individuals to freely express themselves, to be freely to show love, laugh, to show basic emotion in a space where they don't feel ridicule or they don't feel scrutiny. Just imagine how hard it can be to find a job where you feel safe, where you feel respected, where you feel seen. And then let's not even add on the adequate pay. And it's and a lot of times, a lot of people, a lot of marginalized people, a lot of people in the LGBTQIA community go to S work to survive. Hence the word survival S work. At around 1 a.m. on February 2nd, according to Puerto Rico's largest newspaper, El Nuevo Dia, an unknown gunman shot someone multiple times on Aurora Street in San Juan, Puerto Rico. The shot person was described to have a darker complexion, black hair, brown eyes, height at about 5'11", and they estimated the weight to be at about approximately 200 pounds. The police in the area were trying to identify the body. I'm guessing they couldn't find any type of ID, or maybe they just didn't look. Gun violence is apparently becoming more and more prevalent in the San Juan area in Puerto Rico. So I'm guessing the police knew like where this was going in terms of starting the investigation. The police began their report, and like I mentioned earlier, they initially misgendered Africa. The police eventually began their report, and like I mentioned earlier, they misgendered the person, meaning that they went on an interview with the family. They asked the family for verification, in which the family provided their dead name or just gave them Emma. Using someone's dead name or their name given during birth basically erases their final days of who they were on this earth. Also delays the notification of death. The person found was Africa Parrilla Garcia, or Emma, a beautiful Afro-Latina trans woman. Time of the event, she was wearing a gray shirt, long black pants, black Adidas, long black stockings, and long black and white nails. Nobody really knows what happened leading up to this tragedy, but we do know that she was shot multiple times in various areas. Her friend and trans activist Anaconia Reyes, I believe that's how you pronounce it, sorry if not, says that she was also found battered. Police have not made any public statements about any possible suspects or potential leads. If you have any information regarding this case, I'll put the information below of where you can potentially help. Africa is the first known trans woman to die by violence in Puerto Rico in 2024. Africa is the 11th trans person to be killed, and that was reported in the US alone in 2024, or from what we could find. And a lot of times people say at least, because a lot of times things are misreported or unreported at all. And as you see earlier as to how they misreport and how this could just confuse and cause so much confusion and screw a lot of numbers up. I also wanted to note that she is the 6th victim to be killed by a gun in Puerto Rico. I also wanted to note that the police department in Puerto Rico do not collect anything regarding your LGBTQIA identity, which to me makes it feel like an erasure of your identity. Because yes, they don't care if you're bisexual or things like that, but we have to take account that a lot of people these days, and even back then, are transgender. We have intersex individuals. Like, you can't be obtuse. Like I said earlier, we are in a new age, day, time. It's time that you see people how they want to be seen and not how you want them to be seen. You get what I mean? Okay, Dr. Seuss. Like, really make it make sense. Although Puerto Rico's hate crime laws expressly both include sexual orientation and gender identity, prosecutors rarely apply it. But are we shocked? And the US is the same. Hence why Puerto Rico is a territory of the US. But we're not going to have a history lesson. But birds of a feather flock together. Puerto Rican trans artist LaQueen and also Emma's friend told the newspaper that the dangers involved with S work could have been the reason why she was killed, or at least one of the reasons. She says a lot of trans women are on the street and are made invisible because many people believe that their lives are worthless. They don't give them the spotlight they deserve, and men take advantage of that. It's true. People believe, or we can even just tone it down on these abusers, these people that seek out, And it's true. They really do wholeheartedly believe that nobody cares about these women. And to me, it could be where these men in Puerto Rico believe that the police are not collecting any LGBTQ, IA information. So, it helps them not to be found, or even just not identifying the bodies. It also could be just how transgender individuals are seen globally. And even taking that in detail, we can deep dive into how transgender people are being treated, how they're being perceived by individuals, how the laws, how the police, how healthcare. We can really go into it, but it just all ties down into it, how people just feel like nobody cares. Transphobia, biphobia, homophobia, all these fears about how people view themselves, it's at an all-time high. I feel like it really comes down to people being angry about people taking back and reclaiming about who they are. A lot of people are afraid and hurt that they aren't comfortable with coming to terms of who they are. And so they put on this facade and this face, this new individual, to be this new person that they are, and they try to outlash and get mad at individuals that are just so open and free to express themselves, and it makes them so angry that they can't do that. And they want to inflict violence, they want to inflict pain and anger and hate, when all these people just want to do is live. It just baffles me. Like, maybe controversial, but if you have a problem, maybe it's time to look in the mirror. No Michael Jackson. Treating queer people with malice creates dehumanization, making ill intent easier to do. According to Merriam-Webster, dehumanization is to deprive someone of human qualities, personality, or dignity, to demean that person's humanity or individuality. In addition, when we dehumanize others, we basically dehumanize ourselves. And I'm not trying to get all philosophical, but like, just come back with me. Like, you really have to think about it. This country, this world, like, revolves around dehumanization, or at least the basis of dehumanization, of just having to break down somebody to benefit yourself. It's literally barbaric behavior. Trans people are humans. Queer people are humans. Bisexual people are humans. Like it's crazy to me that I have to say this. Gay people are humans. They, you deserve a safe space, deserve respect, deserve basic human decency. They really truly think if I kill her, nobody's really gonna care. And then the police follow up and show them that nobody really cares. Like, be for real. Somebody has to care. I care. That's why I'm here. Anaconia Reyes, Emma's friend, who said she met Emma while walking in the Santurce neighborhood in San Juan. She told news outlets that she actually felt hopeless after Emma's death. It was like they killed my sister, Anaconia told the news outlet. I can't really find the interview, and if it is, I'll put it there. But you can just really feel from what I could read, just like the pain of her losing like a friend that was like a sister. Like, a friend that's a sister, ride or die type, like the pain. Since 2019, Puerto Rico has documented the murders of 9 other transgender people. Chanel Perez Ortez, 29. Luis Angel Diaz Castro, 22. Samuel Edmund Damian Valentin, 21. Alexa Negron Luciano, 29. Yampi Mendez Orocho, 19. Serena Angelique Velasquez, 32. Leila Paredes, 21. Penelope Diaz Ramirez, 21, and Michelle Ramos Vargas, 33. As of today, a trans person's death has been recorded every 9.6 days. Please note that some of the deaths I mentioned previously happened in different years, but have all recently came to light. This is exactly what I was talking about previously, how just nobody seems to, really put the heat, put the fire on these cases to let it be known for them to come to light. As of today, police have yet to find out who did what they did to Africa, what happened, what led up to it, what were like her final days. We have no motive, we have no suspect, we have no timeline as of yet, because I'm hopeful. I really do believe we will find justice. As usual, I will provide my tips as someone that has been in the industry for a little bit, as well as someone who is just super vigilant and is a true crime girl. For starters, never let your guard down and always trust your instincts. I always say that, like, you know yourself better than anyone else, and I can never say that enough. Next, if you feel uneasy, please do not ignore it. Tell someone in your community. If you got to go to the police, even though they're not helpful in LGBTQI cases, tell someone, whether it's a family member, somebody, so it can be reported on how you feel. Even though it is hard to find a queer community, I'm in Tennessee and it's not the easiest trying to find a queer community. I identify as queer and it is hard to find a safe space. But I will say, when you go to different events where safe spaces are encouraged and flourish, where they flourish, I go to quirky spaces, and that's where I find my safe space of weird people, weird queer people, which is crazy to say. But once you find that, you're good to go, and that's your safe haven. And that's where, honestly, you can voice your concerns and when you feel uneasy. Lastly, try to decipher when someone is trying to fetishize you or take advantage of you. In these days and times, even back then, I feel like it's more blatantly known now that a lot of people go after LGBTQIA people because they know that the law isn't going to do anything, or they feel that way. Like, we matter, we care, and people are going to find who the hell did whatever they did. You get what I mean? People are truly disgusting, and they try their hardest to just dim some of the brightest lights we have out here, and it truly disgusts me. In this case, the investigators haven't found anything, let alone an indication that this was a crime of it being targeted, being that she was a trans woman. We do not know if they had anything to tie in with each other. Again, we really don't know anything. We do think, though, from her friend's account, and it's just being a, S worker girly, a lot of people do concur or just give their inference that this could have been due to her being on the blade in Puerto Rico. And the blade is basically just out on the street. You don't know who your clientele may be, just out on the blade. And I feel like that's what her friend was also saying, like the detriment of her being an S work. And again, I feel like just not even her being on the blade, but also her being who she was on the blade, her being a transgender girly on the blade. Like, it's just stacked on stacked. According to the Human Rights Campaign, or the HRC, of all trans men and women killed in 2022, 85% were people of color. In a report entitled An Epidemic of Violence 2022, the HRC found that 69% of victims of trans killings reported in the US were Black, while 85% of victims identified as trans women. Researching this case, I literally found like barely anything, y'all. It was just one of the probably the hardest cases to find. It wasn't even the language barrier to me. It was just the lack of coverage. It's just truly saddening to me. Emma was an Afro-Latina or Black trans S worker. And I feel like that's why nobody really cared to cover her. Like, we care about our sister, a member of multiple groups, where nobody really cares to cover cases, to cover who she was. Crime in the LGBTQ community happens so often and so frequently, and then add S work on top of it, it just keeps getting piled and just covered and swept to the side. As I mentioned earlier, violence in the trans community or in the queer community is often a lot of times by gun violence. At this point, we are in the Wild Wild West or World War. Yeah, we already in that, but we're not gonna talk about that. But I recommend girlies, queer folks, carry you a firearm, go to that range, make sure you know how to use it, make sure you're safe with it, and make sure you lock it up, because it's either you or them out here, y'all. It's getting to that point. It's so scary. In terms of these cases, I pray that more coverage comes out. I pray that justice is received for Emma Africa Garcia. I pray that more coverages will come out for more trans cases and more justice will be sought after. And I pray just more cases are closed and solved in the queer community, period. I hope you truly, truly are at peace, Africa. All right, thank y'all so much for hanging out with me with another S work and true crime video. Make sure you hit that like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you know when I'm posting next. Go ahead and comment your thoughts on this case and comment what case I should do next. Yeah, thank y'all so much for sticking around with me. Stay safe, and until next time, bye y'all.